MCP Apps just dropped, the first official extension to the Model Context Protocol. Your tools can now return full interactive UIs that render right inside the conversation. Claude, ChatGPT, Visual Studio Code, Goose, they all support it. Today, we're building one from scratch. Let me show you how you can power up your MCP servers with visual widgets that render inside Claude and ChatGPT. Let's go. Hey, Alex here from Grit AI Studio. If you've been following MCP, you know it already lets AI tools talk to external services, databases, APIs, you name it. But the responses have always been text or structured data. MCP Apps changes that. Now your tools can return interactive interfaces, dashboards, forms, visualizations, rendered right inside the chat window. You can think of them like widgets, and as MCP server developers, this is a way for us to offer a bespoke user experience tailored to the data our server provides. Instead of leaving it up to the LLM to decide how to use and show the data, we can now provide tailored and branded experiences. And the adoption is real. Anthropic, OpenAI, Microsoft, they all contributed. Claude, ChatGPT, Goose, Visual Studio Code, all support it already. The concept was proposed last year, but now it's official, and according to the foundation, production ready. If you haven't watched my MCP deep dive, go watch that first for the basics. Today, we're focused on what's new, and we're building something with it. Let me explain the problem MCP apps solve. Right now, MCP tools are text in, text out. Your server returns JSON, and the LLM decides how to present it. If you want a chart, the host has to interpret your data and build one. If you want a form to collect user preferences, that becomes an awkward back and forth of prompts. Every visualization, every filter, every interaction requires the LLM to mediate, burning context tokens and adding latency. MCP apps change that. Your tool still returns data for the model to process. That part stays the same. But now it can also return an interactive widget that renders right inside the conversation. A dashboard, a form, a map, a real-time chart. The user interacts directly with your widget, no prompt required. And your widget can call tools on the server and push updates back to the conversation. The LLM stays informed about what the user sees and does, but it's no longer the bottleneck for every click. You can think of it this way. MCP gave AI tools the ability to do things. MCP apps gives those tools the ability to show things and let users interact without going through the model. Your tool can now declare a UI resource, a bundled HTML page that the host renders in a sandboxed iframe right inside the conversation. The pattern is quite simple. Two MCP primitives working together. One, a tool with UI metadata that you add. Meta UI resource URI. This field points to a UI resource. Tools have always been the core primitive in MCP servers, so in essence, the only change we make here is to add a metadata field pointing to our UI resource. And then number two, a UI resource. Your server essentially serves a bundled HTML file when the host requests it. When the model calls your tool, the host fetches the UI resource, renders it in a sandbox iframe, and then pushes the tool result to the app. The app renders the data interactively. The user interacts directly with the UI, and the UI can call tools back on the server. And it can also update the model's context about what the user is doing. That last part is key. The model stays informed about what the user sees and does in the app. This means that we can interact and not just view data. This isn't just Anthropic. MCP Apps is now supported right now by Claude, both on the web and desktop. ChatGPT, where actually OpenAI launched ChatGPT apps on this foundation last fall. And now Visual Studio Code, Goose, and Postman. The EXT apps repository on GitHub has example apps for everything. 3D visualizations with Three.js, interactive maps, PDF viewers, real-time dashboards, music notation, QR code generators, and there are starter templates for React, Vue, Svelte, Preact, Solid, and vanilla JavaScript. So this is already a real ecosystem. Okay, enough theory. Let's build an MCP app. We're going to wrap the Norwegian Police API, which has public police incident data, and then display live incidents in an interactive dashboard with filtering, stats, and refresh, all rendered inside your favorite AI chat, such as Claude. I'm going to use Claude Code with the official MCP Apps agent skill. This is the recommended way to scaffold MCP apps. You install the skill, and then Claude Code handles the project setup. First, we install the skill. In Claude Code, we can use the plugin marketplace. Okay, that's it. Claude Code now has the create-mcp-app skill loaded. It knows the architecture, the patterns, and the best practices. You can verify that it's there by simply asking Claude, what skills do you have? And you should see the create-mcp-app listed. This skill works across agents, by the way. So Visual Studio Code, Copilot, Gemini CLI, Cline, Goose, Codex, they all support skills now. The ext apps repo has installation paths for each of them, so you can just check that out. Now I give Claude the task. Here I'll actually add some more context about our police API. Claude recognizes the create-mcp-app skill, loads it, and starts scaffolding. Now Claude Code explores the API to understand the data format and goes to work. We can drink our coffee, as this will take a few minutes. Okay, done. Let's have a look at what was generated here. Watch what it generates. This is the standard MCP app project structure. Let's walk through the key pieces. You don't need to understand every line, just the pattern. So the server does two things. First, it registers a tool with UI metadata. Here's the important part. That meta UI resource URI is what tells the host this tool has a UI. Go render it. If you have those capabilities. Secondly, it registers the UI resource. When the host asks for the UI, it gets back the bundle HTML file. And that's the entire rendering pipeline. The UI connects to the host using the app class. The host calls the tool, gets the police data, and pushes it to our app via onToolResult. We parse it and render the dashboard. Here's where it gets interesting. The dashboard has a refresh button. When the user clicks it, the app calls back to the server. This is bidirectional communication. The UI calls tools on the server fetches fresh data, returns it, and the UI updates. No new prompt needed, no context consumed. Notice something about that refresh tool. It has visibility app. That means that the model can't see this tool. Only the UI can call it. This is one of the key patterns from the docs, private app tools for UI-driven actions that shouldn't clutter the model's tool list. Okay, let's build and run it. Vite bundles the entire React app into a single HTML file using Vite plugin single file. That's what gets served as the MCP resource. The server starts up, but before we can connect to Claude, let's test with the basic host. This is a reference host implementation from the ext apps repository. It's built for exactly this purpose, testing locally. Now, solutions like Claude and ChatGPT already implemented support for MCP apps. But if you're building your own AI-powered applications and support MCP, you can also add support for MCP apps in your solution by looking at the examples in this repository. Navigate to localhost, select the police incident tool, call it, and there's our dashboard rendered in the test host. The debug panels show tool input, results, messages, and model context updates. This is super useful for development. Now let's try it out in Claude. For local development, we can either expose our server with a tunnel through Cloudflare, as most solutions like ChatGPT only accept remote MCPs. You can copy the URL, add it as a custom connector in Claude settings. Just remember to add a /MCP at the end of the URL. Alternatively, Claude Desktop also supports MCP servers over STD.io. Either way, once the connector is added, we can start a new chat and ask something like this. What are the latest incidents in Norway? Claude calls our tool, we approve the tool use, the dashboard renders right in the conversation. We can filter by category, traffic, fire, theft, and so on. See stats, hit refresh for live data, all without leaving the chat. From here, we can customize our UI or add more advanced use cases, such as providing interactions that not only refreshes the data, but communicates context back to the model and the chat that we're currently in. But we'll save that for a future episode. By now, we have a great starting point for any use case, really. And it just took a few minutes of Claude Code magic to get here. The documentation covers 13 advanced patterns that I won't go into depth on today, but a few worth knowing about is, for instance, live data polling. You can set up interval-based refresh using app-only tools. Model context updates. Here you can call update model context to keep the model informed about what the user is doing in your app. You can also use full screen mode to toggle between inline and full screen layouts. You can also tune your UI to adapt to the context of the host. So here you can essentially respond to hosts' themes, CSS variables, and safe area insets. Our dashboard already does this with this color background secondary as one example, and other similar tokens. Then there's also this pattern around perceived latency reduction. Here you can handle partial streaming arguments with the on-tool input partial to show content before the full input arrives. I'll link the patterns page in the description below. It's worth reading when you're ready to go deeper. Here are some tips to get started with MCP apps. 1. Use the agent skill. Don't scaffold manually. Create-mcp-app knows the architecture and gets the boilerplate right. Number 2. Bundle to a single file. The Vite plugin single file approach means your entire UI ships as one resource. So no CDN and no asset management. Number 3, use app-only tools for UI actions with the visibility app. This keeps refresh buttons and polling from cluttering the model's context. 4, test with basic host first. The debug panel saves you from guessing what's happening between your app and the host. Number 5, use CSS variables from the host context. Your app will look native in every client. Dark mode, light mode, mobile, desktop. Number 6, MCP apps are progressive enhancements. Your tool still works as plain text in clients that don't support apps. Build the text responses first, and then the UI secondly. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. MCP apps are the first official MCP extension. Your tools can now return interactive UIs. Claude, ChatGPT, Visual Studio Code, Goose, they all support it today. The pattern is simple. Register a tool with resource URI in the meta field, serve a bundle HTML resource. It supports bidirectional communication, which lets the UI call server tools and update model context. Agent skills like the create-mcp-app scaffolds the entire project for you. You should use the basic host to test, then deploy to production clients. We went from text-only MCP tools to a fully interactive police dashboard in one session. That's the power of MCP apps. I hope you found this video helpful. I would really appreciate if you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and good luck building MCP apps. I'll see you in the next one.